But I'll invite Kayode Okikele right now to help us go through the trends. What are the trends today?
It's quite a number of trends. By the way, you've given us a lead into some of the big stories that people are talking about.
Yeah.
And top on that list, naturally, will be what's playing out in Edo State.
Edo State, true.
Edo State is big in the news, and you'll understand why. So let's get into what you are saying about Edo State in South Nigeria this morning. And it concerns the impeachment of Mr. Philip Shaibu as deputy governor of the state. Let's start off with this one from Najib Bello on X. Najib Bello has this to say about that impeachment yesterday. And by the way, this has been a long time coming. But for Najib, he believes that this should have never gotten to this point in the first place. Says the issue should have not gotten as far as getting impeached. Philip Shaibu knew, according to this user, that there was no way for him to become the next governor of the state. Hey, you never say never. You never know what happens, and it's not wrong to aspire. But then I get the point you're trying to make. And it ends by saying Governor Godwin Obaseki, on the other hand, should have been more tactical in denying him without all of the drama. So, hey, that's what you have to say, Najib.
All right, let's go to Adeshegun Adekunle. He says that he was finally impeached. This is so bad for his political career. It is well with all our politicians. That's a good prayer for him.
Wow, that's really heartfelt.
That's thoughtful.
Real _ Dr. OMO is next, saying he, and I imagine talking about Mr. Philip Shaibu, should have known that impeachment would kill his political career and should have opted to resign honorably and contest for the governorship on a new party.
And there's a Yoruba, can you read it?
I'll just leave that for, because this is a bit, might be a bit strong, really, that this particular term, as it has been said in Yoruba, but I'll just leave that and leave that to the netizens.
All right, let's go to Comrade Chinedu Uche. He says that Philip was not politically calculative, but the governor defended you as his deputy. When the PDP guys wanted to replace you, you should have supported him throughout your tenure and then become governor next time if God wills it.
It's always interesting how political watchers then become political experts and politicians and analysts. And this next one is just in line with that. And that's from 1967 Ruffles. That's the user. It says that Shaibu shouldn't or doesn't know how to pick his battles. And my natural question is, how did you know that? Are you in his caucus? Have you run something by him? But we get the point. Before now, he should have pitched a tent with another party and moved on from there.
All right, this is from Don Osa Obebo. He says that this is unprecedented. Never in Edo State has any governor or the deputy been impeached. Their tenure is less than 5 months, so why impeach him? Or maybe he's at the end of the tenures.
Yeah, well, it's more than 5 months, actually. The election is was in November this year, so there's still some months after that for the swearing-in to take place. But keep those comments coming in, hashtag CTV Morning Brief, or you can just do it on WhatsApp as well. Let us know what you think about these top stories. Let's move on to another one, which you may have also seen in the news, and it concerns former CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele, and it's a Lagos court ordering his remand in EFCC custody. And Tony Kosi, with some figure, says, why can't they give judgment? Must every time be adjournment upon adjournment? And I think it will do a lot of good if people want to get a peek into what happens in the courts. Some of these things should actually be streamed live, so people see the procedure, the process.
It's not just something you have to be fast.
Exactly. Some of these things can be a bit tedious and long-winded, but it's law, so you have to be very meticulous. So perhaps that might give an insight into why we're having these adjournments on this particular case.
Let's hear from Gbenga Giwa. He says that fresh 26-count charge again. Why is EFCC working from the answer to the question? Well, just to do the needful, and if he's found guilty of previous charges, then jail him, and let's move on from there. All this rigmarole is not necessary.
Oh, Beppo Ebenezer is next with this comment, and it's something rendered in pidgin, saying that that's Mr. Emefiele, has not been in his home since he left office. It was from court
to detention. Yeah. Roland Agabi says that the Tinubu government should not allow this man go with all alleged looting. Well, that's I don't know if that is true, but it said that they should consider all the money stolen. Well, you're not the court, so when those allegations are made and he's found guilty, that's for them to decide.
Yeah. And by the way, just to clear, the election is in September and the swearing-in is in November. So that's
for
just,
Edo State.
Yeah, for Edo State, just to clear that one on the conversation. So let's take a look at the next one on this particular post. Yeah, another bill will be granted and the drama continues. That's what this next user thinks, believes. Hey, aren't you preempting the court right here? Who are those that blew the funds with him? Are they the untouchables? That is the question, and I think those are very vital questions to also ask. If indeed those funds were blown, don't forget these are allegations until they are guilty. Proven. So it's innocent until proven otherwise.
All right, so let's round off this session with one from Around. Everround says that a person who enters a public office must remember that there must be a day of exit and giving of account. The world is a stage with men and women being merely players who have been their days of entrance and their days of exit.
Well, there you have it. But that's not all from the courts, actually. There's also another big court story, and this one concerns Binance. Yes, Binance has been in the news for quite some time, particularly in Nigeria. So from the courts, we understand that one of the Binance executives was sent to Kuje prison, and that has gotten a lot of people talking. Yet again, Binance executive sent to Kuje, and you see this user, Sheepdog Master, I believe, that this is hardly surprising. That's what the user says. Binance seems to always be caught in controversy one way or another, and goes on to say, well, you might dislike their antics, but they're a necessary part of the crypto world. So perhaps this is speaking from the perspective of a crypto user and investor in that segment.
Sure. Let's hear from Rita Sunshine. She says foreign investors will think more than twice before venturing into the Nigerian economy. Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, this next one, by the way, is perhaps a response to the back and forth. Why was he sent to Kuje prison and the rest? So you see, Omadele says, is it too important to be sent to Kuje prison? Or do you expect the government to have sent him to a five-star hotel for incarceration?
50 Kobo, well, I like this name, says that they should extradite him to his country. He should not be jailed here, but trust Nigerian government, they want to deal with him when he's not the cause of the devaluation of the Naira.
Okay. So there you have it.
So many things.
Let us hear what you have to say about these issues. And this next point of conversation concerns Lagos State, but not just Lagos State, even the federal government and a major, will I say, tourist attraction, fun spot in the state. Landmark
resort.
Absolutely. So there's been a lot of chatter around that Lagos-Calabar coastal highway that is now meant to pass through Landmark, and there's been a lot of...
And the other structures that will also be affected.
Exactly.
From that
as well, not just
project.
Landmark. So there's been a lot of talk. By the way, we're going to be getting to that conversation, but let's take a look at what you're saying about that to begin with. So this is from Emmanuel. Emmanuel on X says, the plan to build this coastal road was in the Lagos State master plan from years ago. Knowing this, why did the government approve the building of the resort on that piece of land? Well,
all right.
That's the question.
So this is from Chude Namdi. He says that the Landmark beach is just too good to demolish just like that. Why can't the government find an alternative to solve the Coastal Express issue? Well, we will definitely be bringing you details, and those questions of yours will be answered today by someone who's being directly affected by that.
Absolutely. Right. So Adana Papaya says that it is sad. Let's hope sincerely that they build the coastal highway and not abandon it halfway like many government projects scattered all over Nigeria.
And we know there are also talks already between the stakeholders and the government also. So when we bring him on the show, we'll hear maybe the latest or whatever talk they have been able to, agreements they've been able to reach so far. And then Clinton Nelson says that I believe there should be compensation. Well, we talked about compensation sometime yesterday, right?
Yes, indeed.
I think sometimes in cases like this, there will be compensation. But the question now is how much compensation? Is it enough for those people who are directly affected?
And I don't think we've gotten to the point of conversation around compensation
exactly.
just yet. So keep the gunpowders dry. Send in those questions, comments, as we get into the major conversations for the day. We have quite a lineup for you. It's not just landmark. We have the Edo situation coming up right now on the show. So stay with us right here on the Morning Brief. And
yes,
let's get started, shall we?